Greetings, fellow Whovians. Hope you're having a good week so far. Well, it's finally time. That's right. After so long, it's now time to look at the Fifth Doctor's final adventure, the Caves of Androzani. So, without further ado, here we go. Androzani Minor is the only source of the Spectrux drug, produced by bats within the desert planet's cave systems. The citizens of neighboring Androzani Major rely on Spectrux for its life-extending capabilities. Spectrux mining is controlled by Charles Morgus' business conglomerate, but is run by Sheriff Jack, a masked figure who hides within the cave systems and controls an army of androids that disrupt mining efforts. Morgus has publicly funded the military operation led by General Chelik to defeat Jack, who secretly plays gunrunners Stouts and Krelper to supply Jack with weapons to profit from the war. The TARDIS lands on Androzani Minor, and the Fifth Doctor and Perry start to explore the caves. They both get caught briefly in a sticky substance but move on. The two are captured by Chelik, who believes them to be aiding the gunrunners. Chelik communicates their image to Morgus, who does not recognize them, and orders their execution. At their execution, Chelik discovers that Jack had been able to replace them with androids. Okay. In Jack's Slayer, the Doctor and Perry complain about illness, and the real Salatine diagnoses that they had stepped in raw Spectrux, which is lethal. The antitoxin is the milk of the queen bat, but due to the recent war, and the real Salatine diagnoses that they had stepped in raw Spectrux, which is lethal. The antitoxin is the milk of the queen bat, but due to the recent war, the bats have descended to the deepest levels of the mine that are devoid of oxygen. Jack explains that he is at war with Morgus, and his actions led to his disfiguration. Jack leaves the two under a guard of his androids, where he meets Stouts and Krelper. The Doctor reprograms the androids to allow them to escape. They are caught in the middle of one of the battles, and Perry is captured by Chelik, while the Doctor is forced to leave with Stouts and Krelper. Stouts decides to take the Doctor to see Morgus directly, and communicates with him holographically en route. Morgus sees the Doctor alive, and believing the military is deceiving him, kills the president of Androzani and makes his own arrangements to travel to Androzani Minor to set things right. The Doctor commandeers Stouts' ship and crashes it back to the surface of Androzani Minor, and sets off to rescue Perry before Stouts and Krelper recover. Chelik initiates a major attack with Jack's androids, which ends up costing him his life as well as most of the soldiers and androids. During this, Jack rescues Perry as she starts to succumb to the Spectrux poisoning. At his base, Jack activates the cooling system to help soothe Perry's aches. The Doctor, starting to also feel the effects, arrives at the base. Jack takes pity on the two, and directs the Doctor to where he can find the Queen Bat and providing him with an oxygen tank. Morgus lands by Stouts' crashed ship, and learns that his shrewd secretary has disposed him of power. Ha, I guess. Morgus quickly deals with Stouts to get Jack's supply of Spectrux and leave together to profit, and Stouts kills Krelper. They follow the heat signature from Jack's cooling system to find his base. Morgus, Stouts, and Jack get into a fight, and ended up killing each other. The Doctor finds the Queen Bat and collects 2 vials of her milk. Returning to the base, he collects Perry and warily carries her out of the caves, dropping one of the 2 vials before he can get to the TARDIS. He sets the TARDIS in motion and feeds Perry the remaining vial. Perry quickly recovers, but finds the Doctor lying in pain on the floor. The Doctor explains that there was only enough bat's milk left to cure her, but his body will shortly regenerate. It all feels different from his previous regenerations. The Doctor begins to hallucinate images of his past companions, urging him to continue to fight for his life. The Doctor says, "Adric," before the Master yells that he must die and the regeneration completes, with the Sixth Doctor suddenly alert and active through a new face. When Perry asks what is happening, the Doctor replies, "Change, my dear, and it seems at a moment too soon." And yeah, so let's look at the production of this episode. The working title of the story was Chain Reaction. This story was the first time former script editor Robert Holmes had written for the series since The Power of Kroll, as Nathan Turner had been keen to use writers new to the show instead. Recording was interrupted by a strike, which caused a serious delay in filming of the serial. As a result, 2 sequences had to be cut. The first scene would have featured the Doctor and Perry at the opening of the story in the TARDIS. The Doctor was to explain to Perry the reason for their visit to Androzani Minor. Apparently, as a boy, the Doctor started a blown glass bottle collection, which was made from the sand of different planets. He had lost his Androzani bottle and decided to return there to retrieve some more sand. It was in the scene Perry was to say, "You're such a pain, Doctor." However, when the final cut of the serial was made, it had been discovered that certain lines of dialogue, like their professing that "I'm not a pain," Perry comments about needing sand to make some glass, alluded to the cut sequence. To rectify this, Davison and Bryan voiced over their part of the conversation while the TARDIS materialized from outer space to the planet. The second scene to be cut would have featured the Doctor battling with the Magma Beast in Episode 4. Other Doctor Who stories had adversely affected by the industrial actions of the late 1970s and 1980s, and the 1980s, were a resurrection of the Daleks, which was delayed by a year, and Shada, which was not completed. And of course I'm still bummed about that. While he is in his office, the character Morgus frequently breaks the fourth wall by talking directly to the camera. This arose director John Normington misunderstanding a stage direction, but Harper felt the asides effectively ramped up the dramatic tension and decided to keep them. The Fifth Doctor's regeneration, like the Fourth Doctor's, features a flashback of that incarnation's companions. However, for this regeneration, it was decided that special recordings of the Davison-era companions would be used instead of stock footage. This required Matthew Waterhouse, Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, Mark Strickson, Gerald Flood, and Anthony Ainley to return to cameos for the regeneration sequence. Fielding, Strickson, Flood, and Ainley were already under contract to appear in the stories of Season 21. However, special contracts had to be made for Waterhouse, who left the series in Season 19, and Sutton, who left in Season 20. Johnny Byrne, who created the character Nyssa in his 1981 story The Keeper Traken, had to be paid royalties for the use of the character in the regeneration scene. Davison had joked on several occasions of how he was, quote, upstaged by Nicola Bryant in his last major scene as a doctor. Before the regeneration hallucination occurs, Davison is lying on the floor and his head is resting by Bryant, who is kneeling beside him. As he is delivering his last few lines, Bryant's loose-fitting outfit prominently displays her cleavage. The closing title sequence for Episode 4 featured the face of Sixth Doctor Colin Baker instead of Peter Davison, and credits Baker as the Doctor before Davison's own credit. This was the first and, to date, only time that the new lead received top billing in the final story of an outgoing Doctor. The trousers Colin Baker wore in the regeneration scene were modified to fit his larger frame. Davison will later wear the same trousers when he reprised the role of the Fifth Doctor in the mini-episode Time Crash, which is awesome and you should definitely check it out. Peter Davison has stated that this is his favorite serial from his 3 years on the series. He has said that he particularly enjoyed the script by veteran Doctor Who writer Robert Holmes and working with director Graham Harper, who he claimed brought peace and energy to the program, as well as directing it far more filmically than had ever been done before. Christopher Gable, who played Charles Jack, was a well-known actor and formerly a leading ballet dancer. Gable was not the only contender to play Jack. Jonathan Turner, who always favored attracting big stars to the series and guest roles, had offered the role to actor Tim Curry, as well as the rock stars Mick Jagger and David Bowie. Bowie's management declined on his behalf as the days clashed with the series' Moonlight tour, according to Bowie biographer Nicholas Pegg. Ultimately, Christopher Gable was cast, the preferred choice of director Graham Harper. Harper claimed on the DVD commentary that Bowie was the only other contender he thought of, but he believed Gable ended up being right for it. Robert Glenister and Peter Davison had previously played brothers Brian and Steve Wilbur in the BBC's sitcom Sink or Swim. Glenister later played Alberish in the audio play Absolution. John Normington guest stars as Morgus, He returned to the series as Trevor Sigma in the Seventh Doctor story The Happiness Patrol. He also appeared in Ghost Machine, an episode of the Doctor Who spin-off Torchwood. Nice. So, yeah, I definitely say that this is definitely the best episode of the Fifth Doctor era, and yeah, it's just a really great episode overall. So, with that, I give the Caves of Androzani 5 sonic screwdrivers out of 5. Well, join me next week as I take a look at my top 10 favorite Fifth Doctor episodes, and then the week after that, we'll begin our look at the Sixth Doctor era with the Twin Dilemma. Yay! So, until then, this is Whovian Queen saying, "Oh my giddy aunt! When I say run, run! I've inversed polarity of the neutron flow. Would you like a jelly baby? Fantastic! Allons-y! Geronimo!" Bow ties are cool, Bezzes are cool, and Stetsons are cool.